I want to start with a poem. I want to be very clear that this is not my poem, but it is one that really speaks to me. I think that it sets the tone for what I'm going to talk about. It is a poem by Kate Baer, and it is called Moon Song. It says, "You are not an evergreen, unchanged by the pitiless snow. You are not a photo, a brand, a character written for sex or house or show. You do not have to choose one or the other, a dream or a dreamer, the bird or the birder. You may be a woman of commotion and quiet, magic and brain. You can be a mother and a poet, a wife and a lover. You can dance on the graves that you dug on Tuesday, pulling out the bones of yourself that you begin to miss. You can be the sun and the moon, the dance, a victory song." So my poetry is not that good, so let's not get that twisted, right? But that is kind of what I live by, right? Like, this is a poem that really means something to me. It hangs in my daughter's room. It is very special to me because that is how I view myself and essentially every other person in my life as well, except for the bad ones. So a little bit about me. I was born in Beech Grove, Indiana, the second child and only daughter of two very hardworking parents. I went to a Catholic grade school and high school, which is likely one of the reasons that I sought to escape for my college. I did go to the University of Kentucky in Lexington, which I know you're immediately going to be like, this was a questionable choice for an escape. I was 17 years old, so please also remember that. I returned to Indianapolis for law school, and I began working at my current firm, which is Barnes & Thornburg, when I was in my first year of law school. During my second year of law school, in 2013, I was faced with a medical issue, a benign tumor found on my brainstem, that made me essentially start questioning every single aspect of my life. It was a quarter-life crisis, like the 24-year-old brain, tumor or not meant to comprehend this. But it also helped me start to just reconsider, right, who I was, what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I lived at Riley Towers at downtown at the time. And one day I decided to pop into this CrossFit gym that was across the street because there was this very cute boy outside. And well, he was the owner and he is now my husband. So shout out Myriad Health and Fitness, or Fitness and Yoga, sorry. Look, it's had a number of names, okay? It used to be CrossFit Naptown, then it was Naptown Fitness, now it's Myriad Fitness and Yoga. Okay, thank you so much. We are in the Stutz building, check us out. Okay, that's my advertisement. So fast forward 12 years. I'm an equity partner at my law firm. I'm still giving a lot of unsolicited advice about the gym. And I'm the mother of two amazing children, Ismay, who will be 6 in May, and Casper, who will be 2 in July. I will be talking a lot about them, but this part is about me. So has anyone who has met me for 30 seconds, or if you've definitely already gathered by now, I am an Aries. Shout out Aries season. Okay, yes, thank you. The moon, I've heard, is about to do some really great stuff for us. So, that's what the internet is telling me. I am also an Enneagram 8. And so I include this information in case it means something to you. If it does not, I genuinely love that for you. I love that that's not taking up any space in your brain like it is in mine. So when I asked a lot of my friends and colleagues when I was considering this talk with Ryan, what kind of words would you use to describe me? One of my colleagues who is here today, I did tell her, I am paraphrasing this, essentially said, do you think that we're going to run out of synonyms for assertive or we're not? A professional coach and therapist at my job remarked, wow, you are exceptionally self-aware. And I was like, yeah, in this economy, that's the problem, okay? I'm trying to be less aware. So for example, I do know that this bodysuit, for all of you asking, it's objectively bananas, okay? But it makes me happy, and that is what matters. So that is why I'm wearing it. I tell you all of this not because I think it's profound, okay? It's actually the exact opposite. The most interesting thing about me is that I show up authentically as myself in every single space that I enter. And that could be in a mediation on $1 million lawsuit. It could be on a Zoom with some wild celebrity about a trademark issue, but it could also be at a dance recital or my son's toddler gingerbread making house. I'm coming with the same energy, often F words and all. So I did promise I was going to try not to use it, but Ryan kind of did say it was encouraged. So I tell you this because I think to know someone and to understand the person that they are in this moment, you have to understand all the people that they kind of were leading up to this. All of the versions that make up the people that are standing in front of you is made up of versions before that. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to tell you about all the versions of myself today, but I'm hoping you'll get a glimpse of some. So Ryan's introduction is the first time that anyone has ever called me a poet. I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I wrote my first poem in December of 2019 when my daughter Ismay was 7 months old. I was back at work. At the time, I was a senior associate at my law firm, and I was trying to figure out, like many young parents do, what to do, period, hard stop. But also with all of the emotion, all of the hormones, everything that was going on, I didn't know how to handle it. So someone would be like, how are you? How's the baby? And I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so great. And then I would just like run and sob in my office for like 3 hours. So I do want to take a very brief poll here to see like who is a parent or a caregiver or you have a child in your life that you really love and think about. Raise your hands. Okay, and who's like, I hate kids? Okay, because, yes, shout out. I love. As a parent, respect. I'm loving it. Okay, so I did want to say that because I will tell you, most of my poetry does relate to my children because they are what inspire me and they have really what has, I would say, unlocked this new version of me that is an outlet for public vulnerability. It's highly possible that this might not move some of you at all. And just know that I am okay with that. And I hope that you are also okay with that. I hope that you will still listen with an open mind and that you may find something from it that I didn't intend because I was writing this for someone specific. But maybe I love to hear when someone hears something that I wrote and says, it moved me in this very specific way because of my specific life circumstance. So returning to what caused me to write, I recall being so overwhelmed generally, really specifically with motherhood, about all of the things that you were supposed to do. So if you have a new mother in your life, know that these are the things that she's living with, right? It's like put the baby down to nap, also hold the baby all the time. Breastfeed the baby exclusively, also give the baby a bottle exclusively. Take the baby outside, keep the baby inside, okay? These are all the things you have to do. If your baby is not sleeping, it's your fault, you. It's not because it's a baby, it's because you're doing something as the mother, okay? And so all of this, it was really weighing on me, okay? And I was starting to lose these parts of myself. And so with 7,000 things coming at me, one day I just snapped into my notes app, as it were, and through tears, I snapped a photo of my baby, I wrote my wild poem on the notes app, and I posted it on Instagram. And all of my friends, many of whom are here today, were like, what? Excuse me? I hadn't told anyone, my husband included. He was also shocked. I think he was sitting in the house and was like, hey, are you doing okay? And I was like, no, I'm not. But the thing is, I didn't run it by anyone. I didn't check it with anyone. I'm pretty sure I didn't even spell check it because what it meant to me was a note to my daughter. It was something for me and for her. And that part of my writing has not changed. I am writing because I want to leave something for my children, my children's children, and my friends' children, and their children. Something that matters to me that might matter to them. And I don't actually care if it makes me feel weak or it makes me look to others to be weak or vulnerable or silly because I just don't care. So that's the point. So here it is, the very first poem. Will I make it through without crying? I don't know. I do see Parisa Mansouri and D already crying, so that is not great. So this is it. You can see because of the filter I used, I was not well. This poem is entitled Every Hair. I know every hair on this head. I've watched it grow and fall out, only to grow again, different yet the same. I know the little vein between your eyes and the bald spot on the back of your head from the rare but beautiful 12-hour stretches of sleep. I know every tear that you cried and every moment that has elicited a gurgle scream of joy. Someday I will know your first word, your first heartbreak, and your first friend. And someday I will know each word to your favorite song, every minute to your favorite movie, and each silly voice in your favorite book. Someday, I'm sure, in a moment of defiance, you'll tell me that I don't know you. How could I? I won't tell you then, so I will tell you now. Dear girl, I have known you since your very first heartbeat, the one that I heard in the ER, though I thought my own heart might beat out of my chest. I watched as you took your very first breath of air, early one Sunday evening, and I wept uncontrollably when they put you in my arms. I know you because every part of you is part of me. You're my whole heart, existing outside of my body. And maybe someday you'll have a child of your own. And if I am lucky enough to be there to hold it in my arms, you'll whisper, Mama, I know every hair on this head. This poem really encapsulates one of the primary things that inspires me to write, and the reason that I keep doing it. Because looking back, what is a total mindfuck, is that now I know a lot of these things because she's 6, or almost 6. Her first word, her first friend, her favorite song, and some of them I still don't know. Her favorite heartbreak, or her favorite heartbreak. Sorry, teenage Ismay, when you're watching this. The thing is, I have to admit that I have forgotten a lot of these things. I have photos in my phone, as we all do, but because of like the new iPhone setup, we're never finding them. Okay, those are lost to the world. But even looking at the photos, even when I was pulling out these photos, it doesn't hold the emotion for me of how I felt. I can look at this photo and it will strike something. I will say, look at how cute she is. But it won't make me remember how I felt and how you could tell that I was getting emotional when I was reading that, because I can see myself in the spare room writing that poem. Like most type A, very driven people, I have always been very forward thinking. Always reaching for the next milestone, the next chapter, the next accomplishment, the time when things will get easier or there will magically just be like so much more time. And I'm rarely looking back. But in preparing for this talk, it required me to do that. So when I first started at my law firm in 2012 as a law clerk, I couldn't envision myself as an equity partner in the space that I am in today. I had no frame of reference as a 23-year-old. There were several female partners that I worked with, thank God, in Indianapolis and Chicago. But for the most part, everywhere when I looked around were older white men. Fast forward 13 years, a lot of that is the same. But the difference is that a woman who starts today has me. She can look at me and say, here is someone who started where I am, who has worked really hard, who has sacrificed a lot, but who figured it out, who somehow makes it work, who can be seen by some as at the top of her game, but who will also tell the meanest opposing counsel on the planet, I am not fucking talking to you, my daughter has tennis. How many times do I have to tell you this? I take this role very seriously. And I am not meaning to imply that I am the end-all be-all. I wish in every single space that I am in, that when people looked up, they saw more women generally, more women and men of color, very specifically, and much more LGBTQ representation. More people that actually represent the communities that we live in. But I know that what I can control in this very moment is my very little sphere of influence and the super narrow path that I am trying to carve for them. I was going to cut this, but when I told this to Ryan, he really enjoyed it, so I'm going to keep it, I guess. When I was a junior associate, I was sent to a training for women about how to talk to men. I want to be very clear, this was not firm sponsored. This was just like a thing that was like happening in 2014. It was like, hey, you're a young corporate woman. Come to this talk. That was very much like, hey, communication skills. That's how it was branded, right? And then you go and it's like, let's figure out how to talk to men. It's like, oh. And so in this meeting, the female consultant was telling us all the ways that we could talk to men, to make them listen, and to not make them be mad at us. And one of the things I still remember 10 years later was that she was telling us, instead of saying like, no, or that's wrong, you were supposed to say things like, help me understand. And so, being myself, even 10 years ago, I raised my hand and I said, I just have like an example. And she's like, oh, go ahead. And I said, so if I were to say in a meeting to a man, help me understand why you think this dumbass idea is gonna work for the company. And so I didn't actually go to any more trainings after that. So this is a story I will someday share with my daughter. And just like I want my daughter to understand, I want to also live my life in a way that all of the women and men who work with me understand that you do not have to break yourself in two. You don't have to wear three-piece suits and be the person that takes notes and wear your hair a certain way and be the person who's always quiet. I want you to know that you can have feelings and be angry and be sad and cry and take up as much fucking space as you want. You can admit when you are wrong. You can change your mind. You can wear red lipstick and still be the most competent person in the room. I want you to know that it is so okay for you to be deeply inconvenient to others. I tell you this again because everything is intertwined. My work, my family, my community, my colleagues, my friends. When I sat down to try to write this, I had no idea where to go. That might be obvious. Because everything in my life is just really tightly wound. I show up in spaces and people are like, oh, you act that way at work? And then people at work are like, oh, you act that way outside of work? And my kids are like, yeah, it's crazy. But each of the people in my life in all of these different groups provide inspiration to me. Most of the time, my inspiration is from my kids in the way that they experience the world. As my kids get older, re-experiencing and reanalyzing my own childhood and understanding of the world has been very impactful to me. But I also love the way that I get to see my husband and others grow in love for themselves and for me and for their children through their own experiences. So for example, the other morning, I saw my husband trying, the keyword is trying, to take a picture of our kids both standing really tightly on this tiny little stool together. And when I looked at him, and I did not judge his photo taking abilities, he said, really soon they're not going to be able to fit here. And he's right. I love to see the things that move him. That move a man to pick up a photo? To take a photo unsolicited? That's important to me. I consider myself incredibly privileged to have a community and support system in my life that is truly like no other. Many of those people are here today. And many of the people, the adults in my life, are the inspiration also behind some of my poems. As a bystander, sometimes I will witness something. It's often just strangers, not even people that I know. And it will really turn up the emotion in me because it is often this exceptionally mundane thing, that this perfectly ordinary act that happens on a Tuesday at 3 p.m. that is what matters. So this one I wrote for my friends and for the people I love, who care for and guide some of the other people that I love. This poem is called The Backseat. I can envision it, my children and their friends, young adults in the backseat, chatting loudly in the way of youth when you still believe that adults can't hear the secrets tumbling out, or that they don't care to listen. My mother, I imagine her saying, "Buh, ours too," her friends agree. Yearning for acceptance, there's no malice in their words, because complaining about your mother is at times a rite of passage. I imagine how I will resist the urge to turn around, to stop the car, to hold each of their beautiful faces in my hands and say, given the choice between breathing and you, your mother would choose you every single time. I have known her since before the days you grew, small as a seed in her womb. And I have watched in awe as she's carved out a place in this world for herself and for you. Simultaneously reborn, steady and sacred. I have watched as she has performed miracle after miracle, produced joy from the mundane, spun magic in her fingers, all in your name. I witnessed as she patiently held you, a screaming toddler in a public place, meeting your distress with the gentlest kindness I've ever seen. It changed me forever. Please know that I carry that kindness with me all of these years later. So when she asks you to clean your room, to text her when you arrive, to tell her about your day, to be nice to your brother, what she's actually saying is, for you, I would walk from New York to California barefoot in the rain if it meant keeping you safe, happy, loved, accepted, and free. As it stands in my imagined future, I won't stop the car or intrude on their perceived sufferings. Instead, later, I'll text their mother, my friends, the saints that they are. Photos from many years past of our tiny babies together, chubby legs and goofy grins. Look at how far we've come. Look at how far we've yet to go. In a way, this is a love letter to my friends and their kids, who I very specifically was not looking at, by the way. But as I reread it, I was reminded of a very specific memory of being picked up by someone else's mom and just yapping in the backseat, like she couldn't hear us at all. And some of you, many of you, might think that this seems very annoying. But some of you might recognize the immense privilege of having a car full of kids, which is very annoying, but also to know that they're safe with you, that they are trusted with you, that instead of doing something else, they are with you. And in this world, I do not take that lightly. The act of writing to my kids and just parenting them generally has really helped me to understand a lot of things about myself and about my own life. Growing up in a large Catholic extended family and going to Catholic school, a lot of my self-understanding was rooted in guilt and in shame. And it has taken me a really long time and a lot of help and a lot of different experiences and a wonderful partner to understand and to try and unwind that. I do wonder sometimes who I would be without that, but it is part of my story and part of what makes me the person I am today, for better or worse. I joked often that I haven't unclenched my jaw since 1998, which is, of course, a joke, kind of. But I have lived with the burden of perfectionism and to need to control my entire life. And it wasn't until I had children that I began to do the daily work of letting that go. This is something I'm deeply conscious of trying not to pass on to my children. Specifically, my firstborn, highly type A daughter. I think that there is a school of thought for parenting that some people believe that their children should have to suffer through the same things that they did. I just don't believe that. I don't think that that makes me soft. I don't think that that makes me a snowflake parent or something worse. I think it allows my children to be raised in an environment when they are freed from the burden of what has burdened me my entire life. I think I can give my kids a role model for what it might look like to eventually find a way to be deeply and authentically at ease with the person you have become, whoever that person is. And if they come to me later in life that there is nothing that they can tell me that will change the way I feel about them, they will know without question, without exception, that I will accept them. Ultimately, I do believe that my role as a parent, as a lawyer, as a friend, as a wife, as a mother, as a community member is simple. It is to make things a little bit better. Even if by the tiniest fraction, if someone's life is a little bit better because I am in it, because they know that I am in their corner, that is enough. for me. So before I read my last poem, at which I will most certainly cry, I have no idea how any of this ends. Not the talk, I mean like the world. I don't know if I'm gonna live for another 70 years or if an asteroid is gonna take all of us out in 6 weeks. I do know that the world feels very, very dark for a lot of people right now. And I just wanna tell you that you are still allowed to feel things. You are still allowed to be a very strong and resilient person and also rest and to take a break and to start again. You can cry and fight in the exact same breath. I've done it, okay? You are allowed to feel something when joy is knocking at your door. It is okay to let joy in. You are allowed to not give a fuck about what certain people think or say or how they might react to the things that make you happy. You can wake up one day, and if you are privileged enough in a lot of ways to have a community that supports you, you can choose that. This final poem is an excerpt of a letter that I wrote for my daughter on her 5th birthday, so last year. But it is in a lot of ways a letter to myself. It is a letter to the 5-year-old girl that lives in me from the 35-year-old woman that I am now. So maybe close your eyes and listen with that in mind. An important thing to know is that everything ends. This is helpful advice for dealing with a difficult classmate, a long plane ride, a bad haircut, a fit of jealousy, or pangs of self-doubt. But unfortunately, it applies to good things too. Sometimes the good things will leave you long before you're ready to let them. Let them leave. Even when it's hard, love and everything else will find you again, sometimes in the unlikeliest of ways. I hope you never stop throwing your joy like sparkly confetti, making everywhere your stage, every person your friend. I also want to tell you what an incredible sister you are in this exact moment. The way you rose to the occasion, taking the role with the seriousness of a senior executive. The way your baby brother sucks in his breath with excitement the moment he sees your face. The way that his joy is just a reflection of your own. I've written a lot to someone who can't read yet, but if there is one thing that you remember above all else, remember this. The way that I love you is the rare exception to my rule above. I looked up and saw someone crying. I will not call them out because they are a stranger. The way that I love you is the rare exception to my rule above. It does not, will not, cannot end. Even if you never score the winning goal, even if you never get the highest grade, even if your feet never touch the biggest stage, even if you never get the big promotion, and even if 14th best is the closest you've ever come, you matter. You are worthy of everything good in this world and more. And if the world cannot see you for all that you are, let it be blind. Never forget that sometimes to continue existing is enough. To wake up and to try again is a revolution. Your life is not a mechanism to collect accolades. Louder for you those in the back and for myself. Your life is not a mechanism to collect accolades. Find what makes your heart and your mouth and your soul scream with joy and follow it forever. And if you find a place, it takes you to a place that you no longer want to be. It is never too late to start again. There is always a path that leads you home, right back to me. Okay, that's it. Have a great day.